If you hood educated, I'm glad you made it. Allow me to unfold my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from a hood brother's point of view to all of you, here, there, and everywhere. Now check me out.
FBI agents say they work together to get members of a dangerous gang off the streets. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. Law enforcement announced the arrests of 21 suspects, all suspected of numerous violent crimes. Fox 4's Alex Boyer live in Dallas with those details. Alex.
Hey guys, it's interesting to hear the police chief say that this one particular gang is responsible for the vast majority of violent crime in the city of Arlington. So what the police chief did in 2024 was ask the FBI field office here in Dallas for help. And last Thursday, they conducted a sting operation and arrested 21 suspects. These are the mugshots of 21 suspects in a street gang known as Kikto, arrested in connection to a string of violent crimes committed in the city of Arlington.
Since January of 2022, we have documented 180 criminal incidents involving Kikto members.
On Wednesday, the Arlington police chief and the assistant special agent in charge of the FBI Dallas field office held a news conference to announce the results of a joint operation that began in 2024. Last Friday, law enforcement officers arrested the suspects living in several cities across North Texas. They are all between 18 and 23 years old.
But do not let the ages distract from the havoc that they've inflicted upon our community. These gang members allegedly use violence and intimidation to protect power, territory, and profits. They instilled fear in their victims and took revenge on their rivals.
The investigation ramped up after a deadly shooting in 2024 at Bowie High School. Police say then 17-year-old Julian Howard committed the crime. He's now serving a 40-year prison sentence.
Kikto members robbed and assaulted an individual at gunpoint. Detectives later determined that the deadly shooting that occurred at Bowie High School was in retaliation to that incident.
And investigators say it was also Kikto gang members who were responsible for a shootout in the parking lot of Arbrook Park Apartments back on March 10th. A 13-year-old girl asleep inside an apartment was hit by a stray bullet. Some fearful residents recorded cell phone video as they hid.
Bro, and there's still cop cars coming through. Like, cop cars keep coming through and going over there.
The suspects face a wide range of federal charges, including racketeering.
When you're part of a street gang, they promise you power, money, friendship, all of those things. But at the end of the day, all it does is lead to betrayal, jail time, or even death.
And I'm told by authorities that if the suspects are convicted on these federal charges, they face prison sentences anywhere from 20 years to life in prison. The Arlington police chief and the FBI special agents say that this operation is far from over. Back to you.
Welcome to the wonderful world of gangbanging. Yeah, this right here is what gangbanging guarantees you. Gangbanging guarantees you 21 of your friends being locked up in a federal prison under the RICO Act. So automatically, that right there, just 20 years off the top. You see what I'm saying? And look, these guys right here, 18 to 23, these is young boys. But this is the wonderful world of gangbanging. This is what gangbanging has to offer you young brothers. Yeah. All that old, we gonna kick it until we die and we gonna live old and you going to jail or you gonna die. That's it. This is what gangbanging offers you. Now here, these guys is a part of a gang called Kikto out there in Texas, Arlington, Texas. These boys have been gang banging ever since 2021. They ain't had nothing but a 4-year run. A 4-year run. And according to reports, the federal investigators said that they've been investigating them since they started. And they was watching them since they started. But when they started killing people, shooting, home invading, trafficking drugs. Oh yeah, no, The feds say, no, we got to step in now. Because see, they doing too much. It was okay when they called themselves the Kick Dough Gang and they were just sitting in Arlington, Texas, wasn't doing nothing but getting high and just wasting their time and stuff like that. No, when they started to get violent, then that's what federal authorities said, no, we got to intervene. We got to stop this. So here it is. We got 21 brothers. Young brothers. It's finna be over with for them. Because with that many people, you gotta, I'm talking about, listen to me, y'all. With that many people, oh, somebody finna tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Somebody finna say, hey man, no, look, this what happened over here. Remember that crime that happened over there a couple of years ago? Yeah, he, her, and them, they the one did that. That's why they said, look, it's not even over. It's not over. The investigation is not even over. And they got 21 of them off the streets. And it's not even over. So they charging these boys with racketeering, conspiracy, murder, drug trafficking, kicking doughs in. That's the name of the gang, right? Kick dough. You understand? Home invasions, kicking doughs in. But the cold-blooded part about all of it is the conspiracy. Y'all, look, they gonna keep and continue to use that conspiracy. Why? Because they know when they use conspiracy, they can knock you like that. They ain't even really got to prove you did nothing. All you got to do is just be around, answered the phone, hung up a phone, told somebody to go here, gave somebody something. And that's enough for a conspiracy. So it's a lot of them right now that's locked up that possibly ain't killed nobody, ain't shot no guns, ain't sold no dope or nothing. But all they did was a lookout. Yeah, I'm on security. I'm just looking out, making sure that everything is straight around here. Yeah, well, you just got yourself a RICO. Yeah, a conspiracy RICO. Yeah, thank you. Come on. We're going to give you 20 years for looking out. We're going to give you 20 years for driving the car and dropping them boys off when they kick that door. You see? That's how easy this thing is. And that's why they continue charging them with the RICO. But in the wonderful world of gang banging, these young brothers must believe in their mind that, look, the feds don't want them. They must believe in their mind that, hey, check this out, man. We gonna sit around here, commit crimes, get high, shoot people, kill people, and ain't nothing going to happen to us. Backwards thinking. I'm talking about stupidity. Because you gotta understand, some young boys and girls, that whenever you get to doing violent crimes and you mix that violent crime with making money, kidnapping people, kicking in people's doors and stuff like that, the feds are coming. Yeah, the feds are coming. And this right here is a prime example of that. I'm talking about, we see it time and time again. But these boys right here, they just won't learn. They don't want to learn. They believe that fat meat ain't greasy. They got to. Now, I already know we finna see a lot of mamas, a lot of fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers, and they gonna be coming out saying, well, no, you know, my son ain't killed nobody. My son ain't shot nobody. My son ain't even robbed nobody. And you probably right. Your son didn't do none of that. But being that your son participated, you see, being that your son was a part of robbery, murder, death, home invasion, drug trafficking, your son is just as guilty. So you gotta understand something, parents. Just because you believe in your mind, look, my son don't do none of that stuff. He just hang with them boys over there. Yeah, it's a little bit more than that. Okay? Because while he over there hanging with them, he helping them commit crimes. And by him helping them commit crimes, he might as well committed the crimes himself. So when you got a son and he say, well, mama, I don't do nothing with them, I just hang with them. You say, that's a crime in itself, boy. You can't even hang with them. You understand what I'm saying? Listen to me when I'm telling you this. Your children can't hang with gang members, gang bangers. They can't. Because this is the type of stuff that happened. Look, y'all, we gonna be 100. Now, they got 21 brothers, right? All 21 of them ain't committing no violent crimes. Come on now. We know this. It's a chosen few that's in that gang that are committing all the violent crimes, the robbery, the selling the drugs, and the kicking the doors. It's just a little circle of them doing that. And all the rest of them is suffering because of what probably 5 or 7 or 8 or 9 of them done did. That's why your kids can't be around gang members and gang bangers. Because this is the end result. You gonna be upset at the government saying, hey, how y'all gonna charge him with murder? He ain't killed nobody. And they gonna say, well, ma'am, you're right. He didn't kill anybody. But, you know, he drove the killers to the crime scene. And when they jumped out of the car and killed and shot the young man, they jumped back in the car and your son drove them away from the crime scene. Your son didn't call the police. He didn't tell you. He didn't tell nobody about the murder. Therefore, your son is just as guilty as the guys that jumped out the car and committed the murder. And in your lame mind, you still gonna be crying, but I don't understand it. He ain't do nothing. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He was hanging with him, and that's all it takes. He was participating, and that's all it takes. That's why it is so important. Listen to me, y'all. That's why it is so important to understand and know who your son or your daughter is hanging around. Okay? That's very important. You got to know who they are calling their friends. Okay, where you finna go? I'm finna go over here to J-Bo house. J-Bo? Who was that? Oh, J-Bo, that's Bulldog cousin. Bulldog? Yeah, that's Bulldog cousin. I grew up with them. Remember what you call his daddy and his mama. Then you start doing the homework on the mama and daddy. Okay, daddy a gangster, mama a prostitute. She a gangster too. She steals stuff. Daddy done rob people. Daddy done knock people out. Daddy done did this, that, and the other. I'm sorry, son, but your friendship with J-Bo and Bulldog has been deceased. You can't. It's dead. You can't. You can't hang with them no more. And I bet not catch you hanging with them no more. And then you got to break it down to them. You got to show them videos like this so that they can understand. Look, hanging with them, you in trouble. Look, check this out. If you can see who your kids is hanging around, you can surmise what outcome is going to be in their lives. And what I mean by that is this right here. You show me your friends, I can damn near determine your future. If you hanging around drug dealers, you possibly gonna end up being a drug dealer. If you hanging around killers, you possibly gonna end up killing something. If you just hanging around street guys, criminals, you got a good chance of being a street guy and a criminal. That's just the order of things. Who you surround yourself with, you become a part of. Y'all feel what I'm saying? Now let's flip the coin. Let's look at it on another level. If you hang around doctors, guys that are going to school to be doctors, you got a good chance of being in that medical field somewhere. Because your friends are your influence. You feel me? So if you hanging around lawyers and law enforcement and military and just positive type peoples, you got a good chance of being what you surround yourself with. You see what I'm saying? So that's how we got to start looking at this thing when it comes with our children. if your daughter hanging around young girls that are shaking ass, being little thoughts, using sex to attract young boys and stuff like that, wearing clothes and makeup and stuff that they ain't got no business wearing at a young age, then yeah, your daughter gonna end up being a little thought. Yeah, she gonna be one of them girls where them boys gonna get her in there, get her high, get her drunk, and run that game on her and say, hey, look, we want you to be a part of the gang. Why don't you let all of us run up in you? Well, I don't know. I got to get drunk to do that. Okay, well, look, we going to go get some Hennessy and some beer. We going to give you your own blunt. Get high. Just let the whole gang run up in you, and then you going to be a part of the gang. You see? And these little girls is going for it. Why? Because they friend did it. Yeah. Her friend did it. Her cousin did it too. These are her influences. So when they do it and cousin do it or best friend do it, oh, okay, this is regular programming. She ain't gonna have no problem with doing it. You see? So you gotta be very careful and you gotta be aware of your child's surroundings. Look, I'm gonna tell you like this here. I wish I would have listened to my mother. I wish I would have. When my mother seen me start hanging around certain people and stuff like that, she was like, oh, I don't know about that boy right there. But I'm convincing her, no, he cool. This my friend. He cool. Come on now. She don't know what we doing as soon as we leave the porch. She don't know what we out there doing, stealing cars, getting guns, and having sex with girls, doing drugs, smoking cigarettes, thinking we grown and stuff like that. Your kids don't jump off the porch and just say, hey, check it out. Who got the weed? Who is a gangbanger? Where the liquor at? Your kids is too young to even go to the liquor store. You see what I'm saying? No, they don't jump off the porch and just do that. It's the friends. It's the environment. It's the kids that they surround themselves with. That's how. Look, everybody. I need you to think. Everybody. When you smoked your first blunt, your first joint of that good old Mountain Lion Kush, who was it with? Yeah. You ain't just come out the house to myself. Hey, they got that Mountain Lion Kush down there. I ain't never did it before, but I'm going to go down there and try it. You ain't do that. It was somebody you was hanging around with that was already doing it. They got influenced by somebody, and now that same person is finna influence you and the other guy. So now here it is, you blowing the Mountain Lion Kush for your first time with your friend. You do your first robbery, you steal your first car, you steal your first candy bar with your friend. Yeah. It always starts with the friends. It always starts with the people that influence them the most. Who is that? Their friends. It ain't you. You a parent. You don't look. Your influence is like this compared to when they leave the house. It's this mega. You understand what I'm saying? When they leave that house and get off that porch, come on, your kids is, I'm talking about, they to the world now. They at the mercy of the hood now. And if the hood is a bad environment, your kids is at the mercy of that bad environment and everything that comes with it. So you got to pay attention. When you see your kids kicking it with the bad crowd, you got to snatch them and you got to stand on it though. You got to stand on it. You got to snatch them and you got to stand on it. Because you got to look at it like this here. If you don't snatch your kids from these bad kids in this bad environment, your kid can be killed. Yeah. Your kid can go to jail for the rest of his life. Your kid can be shot, stabbed, beat, spit on, scratched, kicked, manipulated, used and abused, turned out. Yeah, that's your kid. All that can happen to him. All that. That's why when you see it, you got to be proactive. Snatch them. Break it down to them. Teach them tell them, show them their future. Look, this what's gonna happen to you, son. Look what's going on. These boys just got indicted. These is kids. They just got indicted. That boy there, his mom and daddy is good people. They go to work every day. Hard-working people. They didn't know their son was hanging with these boys over here. Now their son looking at life in the penitentiary just for driving a car. Ain't killed nothing. He just drove the car and he looking at life in the penitentiary. See, we got to teach them. We got to sit them down. We got to school them. Now, when my mama told me, look, don't hang with that boy, there was no reasoning behind it. You know, she didn't break it all the way down to me. She just said, I don't know about that boy right there. I don't think you should hang with him. He seemed evil. He seemed kind of bad. And it's like, come on, mama. You tripping, bro. Come on. All right, mom, you right. Yeah, okay, mom. I ain't gonna go. Hey, man, meet me on the corner. My mama be tripping. She don't like you like that, bro. So don't come to the house, man. Just, I'll meet y'all in the hood. And that's what we do. But hopefully, but I wish that my mother would have broke it down to me in a way where I could have understood and I could have seen the future. Maybe I would have been like, you know what? I don't know about it. I think my mama might be right. You know what I mean? But some of us, though, we come up in dysfunctional families where, you know, the mother and the sisters, the brothers, the uncles, and all that is a part of the gang. And being 100, I love my family, but that's how I was raised. My whole family was vice lords. Everybody was vice lords. Everybody. And you know who it started with? My uncle. My uncle was a CVL, and that's what started everything. Only difference was my uncle is my uncle and my cousins is CVL, but the mass majority of my family is unknowns. We got a disciple here and there, got a blood here and there, but the mass majority of my family is unknown vice lords. And it all started with my uncle. One person influenced everybody. One person. So that's why it's very important, y'all, to watch your children and to see who is influencing your children, son or daughter, right? We got to watch that, because if we can see who influencing them, that is telling us my son or my daughter want to be like that person right there. Because if they didn't, the person wouldn't have no influence on them whatsoever. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So we got to be careful, because we don't want our children to end up like these 21 brothers, kids 18 to 23 years old, facing the rest of their life in the penitentiary. Cold-blooded demonstration. This is Hood Educated, not Lame Related. Peace and love, and y'all take care of yourself out there. If I said anything that caused you to think, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And if you're feeling generous, please make a small donation to the channel. Peace and love.